Welcome to this lesson. It's basically a Instagram clone. So I just created this inside another project I had. Save, create another project. Call me lazy. So I basically go to here and this is the page. So we've got these images here. These images. So I have to refresh this. So if you're doing this lesson, you should know how to use Firestore basically, or you can watch another lesson, shows you how. So these images that you see there are these ones here. We upload another one, like so. I've just uploaded the same image twice. Don't think it matters. It shows it there. So the newer images go first. That's coded in there as well. So it shows the latest ones first, like Instagram. So there we are. You saw it just flash green there because the new documents added. They're actually stored in the storage, these URLs. So, and then we get the URL in the database. So it relates back to the storage over here. And remember, if you're doing this, set your rules just to allow to read and write, because you could have issues here. So if you're having issues, just check your rules. Allow read and write there. Same within storage rules, and then change it back after. Well, I'm going to change it back after. It's up to you. So we'll get into the code. Also, another thing is you want to get this config file. So I'll come back to this in a bit. You need to add this into your project. So come in here, upload form. So this component, and you'll probably add this into app.js. But you should be advanced enough in React to know how to do components inside your app.js or something like this. So anyway, this is the main component we're going to use, upload form, and then I've added the other components in like so. So just follow along, copy it, and then I'll explain it along the way. So we're using useState in here, these three components, image grid, which is a grid, modal, which is come here, click on this. It gives us a selected image. If we have a selected image, it's shown, and then we can't click on this, that's actually coded in. You have to click on the side, so that's a bit of code there as well. And we can't upload videos because it gives us this error. So that's just a div. When we have an error, it's displayed. To come back to here, yeah, so then we got all these use state cases. If you're not familiar with these, they're quite easy, and you'll get familiar just by me showing you now. So set file, we'll do the set error one, it's easy to explain. So when we have an error, so when this is, so this is checking if we have we got the types here, and the selected image is the e.target.files. So if the selected image, if we have one that's true, we do this. So we go types.includes selected.type. So if you console log selected, you'll see type there, and which might have one of these if it's an image. So it does have one of those. We set file to selected, so we set file selected. If we don't have one, we set the error to the string. So that's just set error to the string here. That's all that means here. Like so. So coming down here, this is quite a lot just for what you really need, which is just this here. Command S. I know you won't be able to see this, but just bear with me until we get to the end. I'll have to npm start again, I think. Command Shift P, npm start. So I'll show you that. Oh, here we go. I'll come back to that in a second. I'll show you how it is. So this is div tag, which just shows the error, which shows this error. If we have selected the wrong image, we'll show that error there. Then next we have this, which when we have a file, I'll have to log in again. Don't worry about this logging in, because this is just another project I have, which I've got lessons on if you want to build it. So yeah, so if you get rid of all that fancy styling, you're just left with that there. So if you didn't know me, this here. So if I uncomment this, change that to hidden, we should be back to the nice one, like so. Okay, so then we got the progress bar, which I'll show you again. See, it displays the name here in that div, and the progress bar that loaded real quick, but it went across the screen like that, which all is a bit of styling, because when we upload an image, it gives us the progress. So we just get that progress, make it to a percentage, and set that to the width of a div, which is what the progress bar is. So coming down, image grid, selected image. So when we click on the image in image grid, it gives us a cool set selected image, which gives us, this might not make sense now, but when we click on the image, it gives us selected image, and then when we click off it, it sets selected image to null. So we've got code here that you can't click on the picture to close, you have to actually click off it, which I'll show you as well. So when we click off it, sets to null, meaning this is not true and this won't be shown. So when we do have a selected image, we show it, and if it's null, then we're not going to show that. So that's it for the upload form. Next we'll go to use storage. Okay, so you're going to import these ones up here. I'll actually show you the config file, and this will make more sense. So config, I showed you before. If you come into here, copy this config here, which if you didn't know, go here, settings, project settings. You'll scroll down, click config, copy this, and then paste it in here. And then these, just firestore.storage, firebase.firestore, timestamp. So we give our images a timestamp in here, and these are displayed according to the timestamp. So that's what that gives us there, this timestamp here. So that's all this. So export those, come back to use storage where we've imported them. So use storage, that's a file. So when we had the file, we got use state again for error and URL. So at the end we get a URL after we've done, and along the way we get a progress, which I'll explain very soon. So you didn't know use effect fires off a function every time the dependency, in this case file, changes. So when file changes, because we've clicked upload a file, this is fired off. So we'll go const use storage equals project storage.ref.file name. So that's for use storage. So we upload to the storage. This holds all the images, and then the database just holds the URL to the images. Sorry, the images here. So it makes sense. That URL relates back to where they're stored in here. So it's a storage ref for where it's stored, and then that's a ref for where the data is stored in collection.images. So you should be familiar with Firebase if you do this, otherwise might struggle a little bit. So collection just means this is a collection, images, and then the documents in the collection. So storage ref dot put file, which is the file here, on state change, snap, let percentage. So if you console log the snap dot bytes transferred, which I think I did actually, control click inspect, when I upload this, Why is that not uploading? Oh. Wait, console log the bytes transferred. I thought I did, I haven't. And then you divide that by, so this gives us, so that snapshot, you'll see the width. When we upload this, it might go very fast, but that width is styled into the progress bar, and that is related to this snapshot. So that fires back every time, says 10% done, 20% done, 30% done, and then goes through here. This is just like mathematics here, and we set it to percentage. So that percentage is set to like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 until it's done. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. And if it's not done properly, we get an error, so we set the error, and then we got the async function at the end. So at the end, we wait, and it gives us URL. So after that's all done and it's done into the storage, it gives us back a URL. So get download URL, this is up here, and then we get the timestamp, which, as you know, was from here, the config, which is this here. So that gives us a current timestamp. So back to use storage. So then now we've done the storage part, and we're just going to add into the database. So we go collection ref, which is this here, dot add a URL and create it at. So if you come into here, if you haven't named the actual document name, it just makes one up for you. So it's had the create at and URL, and it's made up a document ID for you. So come back to here. So then we set the URL to URL up there, and then we return the progress, URL, and the error. So after that's all done, we'll go to the progress bar. So if we got a URL, we set the file to null. So after it's uploaded, so we pass the file and set file into it. We get these from the use storage, the URL and progress, and then yeah. So once, if there's URL, set file to null because we're complete. So remember, after we've uploaded, it gives us URL. So set to null, and then that gets rid of. So we upload a file. Right now we have a URL, and the URL's done, so we don't have one. And so that's set to null. So then here, this progress, remember, is from use storage, which if console log that, gives us a progress, and we just set the width of the progress bar, which will show in the index.css. It's just some basic stuff. Progress bar, just height, color, a bit of margin, as you see it across the screen. So progress bar, and then we set the width in here, and that's it for there. Next we go to image grid. If you want to, I'll just let you copy that, pause it now and copy that, and then you can also come to here, and you got these three that relate to it. So they're related to image grid. Backdrop, that's related to this when we click on there. And then we got these when are just all related to this one here, which I'll show you. You can style it, you probably have a better way to style that than I did. So coming back to here, go back to image grid. So use Firestore images. So I should probably show you that, because we've uploaded the images now. Well, I have. and now we want to get them back, so we got use Firestore. So what this does, import these docs and set docs, because when we set the docs then we can read them in image grid. So we've got use effects, which remember when we have the collection, that's when this is called. So we set to a variable, so we got project Firestore.collection, which collection is simply images, which is this here. So use Firestore. Order by created at, so we get the created at and we order it descending. So it means the most recent is up the top on snapshot, and so we get the snapshot of all these things here. So that's a whole snapshot, all these things here. And then for each, we return a document, and document.push. So we have this empty array here, which we push docs.data and the ID doc.id. So then we set docs documents. So remember that docs is now these documents here. That makes sense. And then so here, when we're not listening, we don't have this image grid open. We're on another page. We just want to do this invoke function, so we're no longer listening to the collection. Because remember, this function here is always listening to the database. So we're uploading to the database now. That function is listening. It sees we got a new entry, which is this photo, and it fires that function and returns it. So it's always listening, calls that function. So back to image grid. Okay, so what else can I say about image grid? So when we got docs, so we have docs, yes, that's true. We do the rest of this side. So we map through the documents, which are all these things here. Well, coming back, we give it an on-click thing, so that's why it packs the URL. Because when you click set selected image, that's we set selected image. So remember, if we come back to upload form, when we click on selected image, so when we click on here, it fires off this function and passes the URL from these docs to set selected image. So you have to pass it in there, and then that's why this modal is shown. So back to image grid. So then we get, you have to give each one a key. Remember, if you're mapping, otherwise you get the error. It says you need a key, so the document ID is always it's always different. So that's why you can use that. And then we got image, the source equals doc.url. Alt can be whatever you want, which you should know. And that's it for this one. Not sure what I can say. Okay, then we'll go to the modal, and we're going to finish this off with the modal. Okay, so all this yeah, so you can actually show you this. That just save. So now we can click on the image and it shuts it down, whereas before we had to click off the image. So that's all this code is doing here. So if you console log e.target.classlist, and it contains backdrop. So backdrop comes from the index.css. So where are we? Backdrop. Oh, I just went past it here. So if your thing, where are we? Modal. contains backdrop, the class name contains backdrop, then that's when we're going to set to null. So if it doesn't, this image actually doesn't, it's not set to null. So that's it, set to null, and it's not shown. So sorry to keep repeating myself. Set selected image to null means we won't have this selected image here, and this won't get shown. So we do have it, it is shown. And sorry, I know I repeated myself many times, but anyway. So yeah, it's just handle click and the source equals selected image, which we pass that through up here. We pass through this function and pass through selected image, and the alt is a large pick. And yeah, that's it for this lesson. So hopefully everything is good for you, and I'll just go through the CSS just in case I didn't show you some things. If you like to pause and copy it out. Personally, next time I think I'll use, I have a lesson on MUI grid, which going again I'd probably use that instead of this way, but yeah. So thanks for watching. If you're watching this, thumbs up and subscribe, and I'm going to keep these lessons coming so long as you enjoy them.